World War II veteran Gilbert "Gil" Nadeau was born on Easter Sunday, 1926, in Beverly, Massachusetts. At just 17, inspired by the attack on Pearl Harbor, he enlisted in the Navy. Gil served on a new amphibious landing craft across the Pacific, fighting in the Philippines, Borneo, and Okinawa. Under attack from kamikaze pilots, he held his post with unwavering courage, protecting his comrades and earning the Bronze Star. After his honorable service, Gil settled in San Diego with his wife Florence, raising 3 children and retiring from Roar Aircraft in 1991. Known for ending every speech with "Love you," he inspired countless students and fellow veterans alike. Actively engaged in local veterans groups and youth programs, he passed on the spirit of courage and sacrifice to the next generation. On the eve of the 81st anniversary of D-Day, hundreds of American veterans rose once more into the skies of France aboard 3 restored C-47s. Their jump was not for war, but for remembrance, honoring the 13,000 paratroopers who leapt into German fire on June 6, 1944. As the crew opened the doors, the Channel winds rushed through the cabin. The green light flashed, parachute straps trembled, and for a moment, time folded back 81 years. On the ground, an old veteran lifted a trembling finger toward the sky. "Kids, when we jumped, we could never imagine a moment like this. Today, the guns are silent, and the wind that once carried the scent of war now carries a quiet vow to remember, to protect, and to ensure no mother ever weeps again." In New Orleans, 12 centenarian World War II veterans arrived at the National World War II Museum, greeted by a silent river of students and visitors. Lights glowed softly on the floor as volunteers guided their wheelchairs through the halls. One veteran traced his fingers along a glass display, pausing at a photo of Normandy, whispering, "That's Tommy. He was the first out, though he feared heights." Another stopped at rusted mess kits, recalling fallen comrades in Okinawa, the smell of coffee, and the sea drifting through memory. Children stood in awe, holding their breath, witnessing courage etched in time. A golden sunset streamed through the windows, casting long shadows. Shadows not of old men, but of young soldiers standing tall, saluting across decades. In that moment, past and future met, and the legacy of the greatest generation lived on. After 81 years, Lieutenant Howard A. Holding finally came home. In 1944, the young Navy pilot took off from the USS Enterprise in his F-6F Hellcat on a mission over Yap Island in the South Pacific. He never returned, and for generations his family waited, holding on to hope through silence and time. This summer, DNA testing confirmed the remains found by the Missing Aircrew Project were his. A solemn ceremony was held in Salt Lake City, where the University of Utah graduate received full military honors. A gifted musician who loved Glenn Miller, Holding lived with rhythm, courage, and devotion. Now, after 8 decades, he rests in peace, his homecoming a timeless reminder of war's cost and of the heroes we must never forget. After 80 years, Second Lieutenant Herman J. Sundstad finally returned home. Born in Purley, Minnesota, he served with Merrill's Marauders, fighting through the jungles of Burma alongside Chinese and Kachin forces. On June 5, 1944, during the Battle of Myitkyina, he was killed in action at just 27. For decades, his remains were lost. Then, after years of research and DNA analysis by the DPAA, his identity was finally confirmed. When the flag-draped casket touched Minnesota soil, soldiers saluted, and the bugle played taps. Waiting nearby was his daughter Diana, born only 30 days after his death, meeting her father for the first time. As she embraced the coffin, the promise of a generation was fulfilled, that no soldier, no matter how long forgotten, will ever be left behind. In Bastogne, 100-year-old veteran Dennis Potter sat before a small group of children. When they raised their tiny hands to salute, his eyes trembled, not from age, but from memory. For a moment, the faces before him blurred into those of his brothers, the boys who froze in the Ardennes, who laughed beside tanks, who never came home. His hand reached for the patch on his sleeve. Third Army. The winter of '44, he whispered. B Company had 7 left. The words fell softly, like snow on the ruins of time. The children listened, wide-eyed and silent. Outside, the wind stirred the flags, and the medals on his chest caught the light. In that glow lived the echoes of a generation, the courage, the loss, the unspoken promise of peace. World War II veteran Jack Hugman returned to Normandy for what he knew would be his final visit. The white crosses stretched endlessly before him, each one marking a story of bravery and sacrifice. Though he had fought in the Pacific, his heart had always carried the weight of Normandy, of the friends who never made it home. Now, at 99, he stood once more before the graves of heroes, his trembling hand brushing the cool marble. "You are not forgotten," he whispered. The wind caught his words, carrying them toward the sea where freedom was born. For a moment, time stood still. The waves, the wind, the memories, everything blended into one silent salute to the fallen, and to the man who came back to say goodbye. At 96, World War II veteran Harry Snyder was nearing the end of his life. Cancer had taken his strength, but not his spirit. His final wish was simple: to hear the sound of bagpipes one last time, just like the melodies that once echoed across the beaches of Normandy. One quiet morning in Upper Gwynedd, local police, veterans, and neighbors gathered outside his home. As the first notes filled the air, Harry, frail yet proud, struggled to his feet and saluted. His eyes shone with the same unwavering courage he carried at 22 when he stormed the beaches on D-Day. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The wind carried the music, and with it, a nation's gratitude and love. Harry smiled, peaceful and fulfilled. His mission was complete. At 99 years old, Marine veteran Frank Wright stands beneath the California sun, his medals glinting softly across his chest. 80 years ago, he was just 16, too young to fight, but determined to serve. He even filled his pockets with bananas to make the minimum wait for enlistment. Soon after, he found himself on the beaches of Guadalcanal, facing fire and chaos that no teenager should ever see. From there to Iwo Jima, he fought through fear, injury, and loss, yet never surrendered. Today, as the Marines honor him on the 81st anniversary of the Guadalcanal victory, the crowd rises in silence. Salutes are raised, music swells, and Frank's eyes shine. Not with pride alone, but with remembrance. The years have slowed his step, but not his spirit. Corporal Dennis Potter, a 100-year-old World War II veteran, sat quietly in his wheelchair, like a statue carved by time. Since moving into the VA hospice, he hadn't smiled once. But today, 3 friends, Cliff, Mike, and Josh, came to see him. He once fought under General Patton, the youngest soldier in his unit, 17, lying about his age, from Bastogne all the way to Berlin. As the nurse wheeled him into the sunlight, he froze. In front of him stood a 1944 Willys Jeep, olive green, glowing in the light. When the engine started, Dennis straightened up. His lips trembled. Then he softly hummed, "The Army goes rolling along." For a moment, he was 17 again. His eyes bright, his fingers tapping to the rhythm of memory. He touched the hood and whispered, 80 years after D-Day, 2 Allied veterans, 101-year-old Reed Cranton and 100-year-old Richard Shea, returned to Omaha Beach. The old bench creaks beneath them, echoing the sound of stretchers sliding across the deck of a 1944 landing ship. Their thin hands clutch canes swaying in the sea wind, and from each man's belt hangs a faded piece of parachute cord, their secret promise to return together. As the tide rises, Cranton points to the horizon. Right there, he says, the spot where his unit once stormed ashore. Waves crash in gold light where blood once darkened the sand. Shay takes out a worn photo of 14 young faces, and the two old soldiers begin to hum a broken tune from long ago, carried once more by the wind across the English Channel. The plane touched down in France, its wings trembling like an eagle returning home. Volunteers guided 86 wheelchairs down the ramp, men whose average age was 98, the last living soldiers of World War II. Funded entirely by donations, this was their final honor flight, a journey back to Normandy 80 years after D-Day. In the terminal, a silent crowd waited. When the first veteran appeared, applause swelled like a tide. A little girl placed a paper star on an old Marine's chest. His trembling hand rose in salute, two fingers forever left behind on Iwo Jima. Then, as the flag descended, their voices began to sing the same battle song that once echoed across oceans. Their tones faded one by one, until only the wind carried it. At his 100th birthday celebration, World War II Allied veteran Dennis Bolt received a gift that carried him back through time, an M1 Garand rifle, the same weapon he once held in battle, full of memories and stories. As the box opened, candlelight trembled softly on his wrinkled face. His fingers brushed the walnut stock, smooth and warm, and the room seemed to fade away completely. When the safety clicked, the sound was soft but powerful, like a memory unlocking after a century of silence. Supported by gentle hands, he slowly rose. His back straightened, his grip firmed, and for a brief moment, age disappeared. The soldier within him stood once more, strong and unwavering. The room fell silent, in awe, in gratitude, before the living echo of history. James McHugh, a 97-year-old World War II veteran, passed away quietly on February 7, 2019. He had served in the U.S. Army's anti-aircraft unit, fighting bravely in 5 major battles, including the Normandy landings. With no living family, it seemed he would leave this world alone, but his community refused to let that happen. On February 14th, nearly 400 strangers, veterans, neighbors, and local residents gathered at Bellevue Cemetery in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Full military honors were rendered, taps echoing through the crisp winter air. At the end, his neighbor Doris Sevigny sat in her wheelchair, unable to stand, yet she reached forward to receive the folded tri-cornered flag. Tears streamed down her face as she held it close, a silent embrace of gratitude and memory. At 101, Sergeant Reed Cranton returned to Normandy for the first time in 81 years. His trembling hands gripped the whiskey bottle, lifting it slowly to his lips. He took a careful sip, letting the burn remind him of trenches, 1944, and the day MG-42 bullets claimed his friend, Edward Morozevich. Cranton remembered Morozevich's last words, "Tell Mom, tell Mary," lost to gunfire, yet echoing through time. He laid a photo at the grave, memories flooding back like the waves on Omaha Beach. The mist carried the faces of young soldiers, the song of Lily Marlene, the distant roar of the sea. For the first time he wept openly, a 101-year-old man reunited with the grief, courage, and friendship of his 20-year-old self. A final salute to the fallen, whose names and sacrifices live forever in the wind over Normandy.